Got it. Got it. Got it. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm also going to start the recording on Zoom. Let me start it. Awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm Sudha Jamte, and here we are at Sudha Live. For those of you who've been with me for a long, long time, this used to be the setting where I used to do my weekly Wednesday, which is now run by my student alum, Yashashwini Vishwanath. And my students come together on Wednesday. So this is Sudha Live, my Friday happy hour with you, where I talk to you about AI opportunities, but I decided to come back, kind of getting into a pre-pandemic mode, though we are at the endemic mode with the pandemic, so that I can just get our routines back into normal. Okay, so, and one of the things happy news I want to share is I'm working on a new course, an online course about no-code AI for LinkedIn learning. And I'm not supposed to tell you more details about it or when it is coming or anything else, except that I'm working on it and I'm super excited. So this setup you're seeing here is part of my preparation to kind of get my screening area in order, because I'm doing this as a live course, the live recorded course, like my Stanford courses are live courses where you do a live stream with me. This one will be like LinkedIn learning courses where you can have recorded courses. So I will be sharing more when I'm allowed to and tell you more. Hopefully, no-code AI is a hot topic. My current batch of students from Stanford who are taking the artificial intelligence bootcamp for product and business managers that's going on right now on Mondays are so excited about no-code AI. So I know you're out there who's interested in no-code AI. Follow me and I will be sure to tell you first on LinkedIn more than other places. And I'll put it on my newsletter also when it's ready. But I'll share on LinkedIn as I get through the stages of recording and what I'm allowed and stuff. Okay, so today, one of the things, so for those of you who are new to this is Sudha Live and I'm Sudha Jamte, and we are streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you are live, you can ask me a question on chat on LinkedIn or Twitter. Not so much on YouTube. I'm not going to check that live, but I'll come back and everything I share here is about AI opportunities, jobs, fellowships, events, exciting things, courses, whatnot, learning opportunities. And I usually have a topic of whatever is the latest in the AI world, or some of the events that I talk to you about. I come back, I go watch them myself, or I come back, have updates from them. So that's what we would do. And so the way this is usually, I try to keep it for half an hour. I ended up getting delayed with some tech trouble from Restream with the streaming options today. So thank you for waiting patiently to join me. Still, I appreciate that. I can see the number of people who are joining. I can see who you are. So if you want, you can add a comment. Otherwise, I'll come back or ask a question and I'll come back and make sure that I answer them. Okay, so one of the things I would do is, because I will be sharing various resources and links, I'll share my screen in a minute. I will share that. But then in my newsletter, bit.ly/Jamte newsletter, I will come back and update all the links, and you'll have the recording of this and much more. So if you want to capture that, you can go to bit.ly/Jamte newsletter, or just, if you subscribe, you can get that too. But I'm very big on privacy and your right to, not get spammed, because I hate spam. And AI is busy at work to stop, to build out spam filters too. So you don't need to sign up. Don't sign up for it. If you want to get out, no hard feelings. I'm not going to feel bad if you unsubscribe of any of my channels, because there's so much information out there. I'm doing this to make sure I bring the right kind of succinct set of information that's helpful for you to go learn the field of AI and grow and make a change. You could be in research mode, you could be working industry, you might be a student, you might most likely be a product manager, because a lot of my students are about product and business people. But I'm hoping that this gives you enough resources. At the same time, you also feel inspired to go do something with it. Not just, I'm not here to give you a laundry list of, links that you can just get from a newsletter. You don't need to be watching me live for half an hour for that. And then as I said, one of the topics I would always cover is like the latest in on top of my head. Or what's happening in the week. There's a lot of on various different dimensions this is happening. So I'm not going into the specific topics that got me these links into my radar onto my social feeds, but there is a lot of discussion about privacy and rights and data. And I have a sweet spot of data, so I go back to data. But when I see something about data, I'm obviously going to gravitate towards that. So that could be a reason why I'm seeing more of that. But it's bubbled up back in various different ways back into my feed. So I'm going to be talking to you about events and resources related to privacy and data and AI, which will lead us into this field of AI ethics. But I'm not primarily going to focus on AI ethics, because AI ethics is a very broad area. But there are a couple topics of AI ethics I tend to go towards because I have a research passion in those areas. So you will hear that if you're new. Okay, that's it. So let's jump in. So the first big thing is last week I had shared about Women in AI in North America. So Women in AI is a big group, that's a global group. And then there are chapters for different regions. And Women in AI in North America is a force to reckon with. And they're like amazing, brilliant women, and they're so passionate. And I've been sharing about their upcoming hackathon. And to promote their hackathon, they've been launching events, which itself is a treat. And let me start with that. So the first thing is, I was nominated along with few other people I know, but this is a huge organization. It's amazing women. So I was lucky to go attend that this morning. Let me see if I have that screen. I love that instead of a typical, screen, like a Zoom link, they'd set it up with something called Powered by REM. Let me share the screen. This is a screen grab of my experience of how I saw it. It was beautiful. This is Women in Artificial Intelligence Awards North America. That is what it says, powered by Get Cities. But my link was REM, and it said powered by REM. So this is the experience they gave us. Literally, like I wish I was dressed up, because it felt like I was going into a gala, and we could walk in, and they had tech support people who will chat with us. We could get, this is the floor view. And then here you can see Yash, who's the weekly WED host. Susanna Raj was nominated. You can see her here, AI ethicist. And then Merv doesn't have a picture. Merv Hickok was also at our table. So we could choose who was at our table, and then you can choose one table. They even had a networking hour where we could go move around and then go meet other people. Within the table, we could speak, and within the table, we could chat. It was beautifully done. And look at Yash's comment here. Yash is saying, I'm amazed by how they're using tech to give us a feel for actually being there. And we all came from, different time zones. This is the Women in AI North America, but still we had, a lot more people from everywhere. It was amazing. This was just when they were getting started with 70 people. I think they had a lot more going on. So this group of amazing women works so hard to bring us more stuff. So I've been talking about their hackathon, so I'm going to go share that part right away. So we had Jania Janoch come in and talk to us at Weekly Wednesday a couple of weeks back when they kicked this off. So they have a hackathon coming up. So the hackathon registration, you can apply for a hackathon. They'll put you in groups, and they give you mentors, and they'll set you up for success. They want more women to get involved in the field of AI. So this is not just, meet up in the weekend, whip up an app kind of hackathon. This is, very serious stuff. And their focus is sustainable innovation, good health and well-being, which is, the UN's SDG goal 3. Then they have on quality education, SDG 4 goal, and work and economic growth, which is SDG 8. So, and then they have a lot of sponsors and stuff. And, we've also heard from Shubha, like Bua Shubram in one of our previous talks. She was there at Weekly WED. Susanna Raj is going to be speaking. I believe they have another event on the 18th. and they're going to be talking, and Susanna is one of the panelists on the 18th, 6 p.m. EMT. So ET. So the best way to, participate in this is to go to Women in AI North America on LinkedIn, and you can sign up. So let me see if I can show you that link. So the open house is on 18th, and it's free registration. Go check it out. This is an amazing opportunity, and they call it Zero Inclusion Virtual Weekend. So it's a 3-day virtual weekend, but they close the registration by 22nd May. The event is from the 10, 11, 12, the weekend of 10th, 11th, 12th in June. And they work very hard to, make sure teams are formed, you get the right mentors, and you're set up for success. I've not seen, so I've been involved in hackathons, and I love hackathons. I've been part of PayPal Developer Network in my past, and I worked with several different groups. I used to be very actively involved in iOS Dev Camp with Dom Sugala, but the amount of effort this group puts in reminds me of Dom and his team. I've not seen anybody else set people up for success, set the community for success this much with this much effort. So I definitely would recommend that. Let me show you exactly where you can go register so that you're not searching for it. So here we are. It's an Eventbrite link. If you want to go to Eventbrite and find Women in AI Hackathon USA Open House, this is, even if you find Women in AI, in Eventbrite, you'll find them, or you find Women in AI North America on LinkedIn, you'll find them. So this is the event. So even if you're curious, not really serious whether you can do a hackathon, whatnot, just go to listen to Susanna Raj. She's a force. You cannot ignore her. We heard Dr. Janya talk other day, and I'm a big fan of Dr. Sunny Zhang, and we've heard Bhuva Shibram. This is a group that you cannot ignore. This is an event you cannot ignore. So I'm going to be there. If it's feasible, I'll live stream. I will live tweet for you, but I would recommend to check it out. And then if the hackathon makes sense for you, do it, or, go tell your friends. Somebody would benefit from it, So that is the big one that I am super excited, especially after going in this morning. And then of the people I know, there were couple people in the Women in AI awards, that North America awards that I saw. Merv Hickok came and sat at our table, and congratulations, Merv. Merv is one of our winners from Women in AI. I'm going to show you Merv. I believe last week I did show you Merv's profile. I don't know, I'm a big fan of Merv. So her website is a cool name called aiethicist.org. Congratulations, Merv, for being one of the Women in AI North America winners. She's also 100 Brilliant Women in AI Ethics from last year, 2021. So I would highly recommend following her work, not only because of, of the work she does in various different groups. She's very good at, sharing relevant things and on LinkedIn. So I find that pretty useful. And one of the things I did this week in my class was I actually showed my class the aiethicist.org site, because they were saying, okay, what do we have in terms of regulation? So in our Stanford class, we were talking about AI ethics, and Patrick Kalin, who's the author of Machine See, Machine Do, came in as our speaker. And following that, the students said, okay, now where are my resources? What frameworks are available? Who is governing this? And so I sent them to aiethicist.org site. That is Merv's site. Let me go there for you for a minute. And she's so global, and I've seen this is the best website that has all kinds of AI ethics related resources organized so beautifully in one place. So obviously, you can get lost reading this and going through this. You have all kinds of books and journals and all kinds of stuff here. What I showed the class was this one, the frameworks, right? What you want for AI ethics, frameworks, guidelines, and toolkits. And there's so many of them, from ACLU, from AI Now, Algorithm Watch, and there's so many of them. And even like Barcelona City has their own open digitization plan. So she has like quite a collection. So I would recommend, if you are somebody who's thinking about AI ethics in your work, or you're like, okay, who's doing what? Who, that might be a great place. And then hang in there, because I'm going to tell you a couple events that are happening in this space. Okay. There is, who's really governing AI? Who's really governing AI? How are these frameworks? Are there too many fragmented frameworks that it has gone to a place where it is not going to help us anymore? Like, there's some concerns and questions about that. So I want to share a couple different events that's happening related to that. So let me get that lined up for you. Just give me a minute. So there are 4 events that's coming up. For those of you who are in the privacy space, those of you who are looking at all these frameworks and say, okay, who's governing them? What should I believe? Is there a room for me to even participate? So that's the way I would urge you is, when I share events and here, I'm not expecting you to just go to events and passively just sign up and cheer for people, which is amazing stuff. But I would like you to think about, what is your role in all this, right? How do you go about contributing to this? Because AI is built by everybody, needs to be built by everybody. So that becomes very, very important to find your place in it, to contribute to that. So and again, timing wise, this week it is important, because the US federal government said on specifically made a statement that discrimination in AI to screen job candidates is real, and they issued a warning on that. We don't have any regulation from US in governing towards managing bias, but in jobs, if there are, we know there are bias in jobs, and AI is not built by a truly diverse set of people, and so it leaves behind people who is not at the table. So it gives a feedback loop, and if you don't have enough people representing a certain race or certain profile or certain lived truth, then it's not going to be reflected in the data and the definition of what AI is learning, and based on that AI is going to be limited and biased. So this is a warning from the US government, which I think was interesting timing for this week. And I promised to show you events, 4 events. One of them is called RightsCon. This is about general human rights, and it's a world leading summit on human rights in the digital age. So the first topic in there, an amazing set of speakers in here, amazing set of speakers. So if you go look at the specific, and this is the 11th edition of it, it is taking place June 6th to June 12th, 10th. And remember the timing of it, this is the week before the Women in AI hackathon. And then that weekend is the Women in AI hackathon. So if you're thinking about, a busy time in June, and somehow I think there's a lot of marketing that's happening for June events. So Oxford University has an interesting event the end of June 30th, and they are talking, this is about, who's regulating AI, and they want to bring, remember I showed you aiethicist.org Merv Hickok's site, giving you a big list of all the different regulations in place. Oxford is bringing a discussion, and they're saying, okay, let us look at the comparison in perspective. Governance is done by different companies with different perspective, and what is different, and why should we go with one or the other? And then the interesting thing here is they're starting a project in Oxford University. They're starting a project as part of this conference. What they're doing is they're actually launching something called I Manage, which is a 5-year research project, which is supported by the European Research Council. And they are looking at AI regulation through a comparative lens. And they want to see, what is the existing regulation, what is proposed approaches across the world, and is it good enough? Can we learn from one and bring it into the other? And is it addressing the risk? I mean, it's not just there is a philosophical approach on privacy in one country, and we have this privacy versus innovation, and what should be the compromise? The Europe way of thinking about this, the China way of thinking about it, the US way of thinking about it. that's not enough. In the end, is actually addressing the risk that comes from AI system and balances it with the maximizing the benefits. So that's the crux of that. And they're launching iManage project. And this is from Professor Adams Prassel. I hope you'll sign up, at least participate in it, and then collaborate and see if we can do something fun and bring your perspective, right? So that's the most important thing. And talking of privacy, there is another privacy law scholars conference that is here. It's called privacyscholars.org, which is also an interesting one that I would recommend that you look into and see if that is something that you want to be part of. Again, if privacy is the thing you're going for. If you're just looking at regulation, the Race to Regulation is great. If you're looking at a broader human rights one, then RightsCon is a good one. There's also another one. See, I come from a focus on data. I come from heading mobile analytics at eBay in my corporate past before my current technology futurist world role that I'm doing. So I find that data feeds AI. Data gives you insights. Data carries the lived truth of who we are. And we are using the only language we can talk to AI is data. And so managing that data obviously gives us a lot of jobs and responsibilities. But is that something we can do right? So there is another conference that's of interest to me. It is called Conversations on the Datafied State. And this is from Data and Society. They're doing this as a Zoom session. I believe this is the third part of it about race, surveillance, and resistance. The thinking is, if you're going to take existing data and train AI, it's going to propagate the existing bias in society, which means if we are not teaching AI to make us better, but we are actually, going to carry any systematic racism and all the bad things in society feedback through our data. So that's the discussion. So this is part 3 in the series of conversation on the Datafied Street from Data and Society. That's on May 25th. So again, I will be sharing all of this in the JAMTE newsletter if you want to track the links, but think about the conversations, right? Let me give you the link. So again, you can just go to the link here, bit.ly/JAMTE newsletter. If you want, you can bookmark this and just go and watch it. I send this out on Sunday mornings, my time, which is in Silicon Valley, Sunday morning. Or if you want this to come to into your email list with a reminder, you can sign up or sign out, based on how you feel about it. So in here, I will be sharing all the different links that I'm talking about. And, this is the Mother's Day weekend that we finished up. And I find inspiring people to congratulate. And I still can't get over the fact how Jocelyn Gomez has got a PhD. It's amazing. Yeah. And so that is the JAMTE newsletter. Let me go back and see what else I have for you, which I don't want to miss. The big thing is the weekly Wednesday. That is my speaker series of my student alums who come together on a speaker series. So we invite different speakers. And Yash, who hosts Weekly Wednesday, is focused on AI research, on responsible AI, and specifically on fairness and explainable AI. So she volunteered to teach us explainable AI in a beautiful webinar. I'm just going to show you a clip because this got streamed from Weekly Wednesday. So if you join Business School of AI on LinkedIn, obviously you'll get the stream. Otherwise, we will all obviously share this in the JAMTE newsletter. Let's see what Yash has to say.
Something to the audience here. So let us go over. When we look at the AI space, it has started somewhere around 1950s. We had artificial intelligence started from.
Sorry, Yash, I'm just going to go through this quickly to show what she's covering. Yeah. So she made a point.
How do I correct an error? So now,
this is what I was going
let's dwell deeper into what is explainable AI. So we think about responsible AI in the broader sense. It has explainable AI, interpretable machine learning, secure AI, ethical AI, compliance, human-centered machine learning. In the previous weekly web sessions, we have understood what is responsible AI. We have had many sessions on AI Ethics by Susanna, by Sudha, and Renee, we have understood the various facets of responsible AI, and explainable AI is also one of the legs of responsible AI. Here comes the question: is your AI ethical, transparent, compliant?
Okay, this is a beautiful webinar. And one of the things Yash is doing is, yes. So this slide is where she's actually explaining explainable AI in such beautiful detail. So I would highly recommend you follow the weekly Wednesday recording and check out explainable AI. And the other thing is she's actually sharing 100 days of explainable AI on her LinkedIn profile. Let me find that. Let me see this LinkedIn. I'm going to go find Yash. And sometimes if you don't know the right spelling of people, if their names are not pronounced the way we know, then it ends up, we might miss out on identifying people. So let me go back. And it's a loss to us. Yash is an expert on explainable AI. And here how she pronounces her name, Yash Aswini Vishwanath. Even if you are from India, there are different pronunciations of Vishwanath with the H sometimes, so it's important to remember people's spelling or bookmark it when you see them, or find out where you can go find them. So the thing with Yash is you can find her at Weekly Ved if you miss out anything, and go to bit.ly/Jamte newsletter, or come back here to the live, and I can lead you to all the amazing people that I'm talking to you about. So one of the things Yash is doing is she has decided, she was one of the nominees today in the Women in AI awards from North America. So what she's doing is she's doing this 100 days of explainable AI, and this day 8 was this Wednesday, so she must have gone on doing more, and she's just giving us a little more activity about. So she's an AI researcher, so she comes from a very strong technical background. Let me go back. Okay, she has a lot more she's sharing, so I won't be able to do justice to that. But one thing that Yash is doing is she has decided to compile a lot of her 100 days of explainable AI into a weekly digest. Let me give you that link. So that is here. It's a MailChimp, Business School of AI /XAI. Okay. So what she has in here is she is collecting emails, and if you like it, she is going to provide a 7-day digest of the 100 days. So every 7 days, you'll get an email, which is every week, you'll get an email with her tips that she has shared for the past 7 days. So if you don't remember your spelling, if you're not following her on LinkedIn, if you miss out on it, or you just don't want to go check each day, the easiest thing you can do is you can just go sign up for Yash's explainable AI weekly digest, and once a week you're going to learn 7 different resources, 7 different tips on explainable AI. So I will be sharing, let me give that link back again. Yes, thank you. I got out of it very quickly. Somebody's asking for that. So it's MailChimp. MailChimp usually is mailcheese.mp. So MailChimp /Business School of AI /XAI. So that's the link. And I will be sure to obviously add this on our LinkedIn, where you're watching the stream, and also on Twitter, and it'll be on the Jamte newsletter. So if you missed it, and so I would recommend, this is a very important part of learning what is explainable AI, being part of this whole responsible AI field. The other thing is, one of Yash shared a book from one of his professors called Pradeep Mishra, who has practical explainable AI using Python. For this is for people who are looking at code and saying, how do I bring explainable AI models, and how do I build libraries and extensions, and what are the different frameworks related to that? And this is available on Amazon. This is highly recommended by Yash, so I would check it out. Okay, so we spoke about the different privacy and rights organizations that's out there. Sorry about that. That was the YouTube that is streaming of this event that popped up on me. So I showed you Weekly Wednesday from Yash about explainable AI, her 7-day digest. Explainable AI book, we looked at 4 different events: the RightsCon, the AI Regulate AI Global Perspective, the PLSC 2022, the conference, the privacyscholars.org one, and then RightsCon. So that's my big one for this week. And then the other thing that is happening in the AI world out there is Google I/O. So some of you might have already seen it. And if you have missed it, I love the fact that, unfortunately, the Ukraine war is still going on. So we can't all just forget and go off to life as usual. So I like the fact that Google CEO, Sundar Pichai, focused on that and did, and showed that on what they are doing, how, in showing that, okay, Google is doing great and we are doing all these other things. When he was showing that, his example was focused on Ukraine and language translation. He showed about Google, a lot of different things. He was talking about language models, making people life better and things like that. But one of them, let me show that, because I'm particularly interested in language models. So he showed about how in Ukraine, how people, Google people were hosting, not hosting, like literally hosting other people who are running away from the war. And they were showing about various different things of different Google tools that were helpful for people who are refugees running away from the Ukraine war. And then he spoke about the Google translation and he led to the model. So this is what I want to share with you. Let me share that screen first. Let me bring that up. You might have watched, and the thing is, all of this is streamed, so you'll be able to see the whole thing. But I want to show you specifically about language models, and I'll tell you why. I've been talking a little bit about that.
People's lives better. More people are using Google Translate than ever before, but we still have work to do to make it universally accessible.
Yes.
There's a long tail of languages that are underrepresented on the web today, and translating them is a hard technical problem. It's because translation models are usually trained with bilingual text. For example, the same phrase in both English and Spanish. However, there's not enough publicly available bilingual text for every language. So with advances in machine learning, we have developed a monolingual approach where the model learns to translate a new language without ever seeing a direct translation of it. By collaborating with native speakers and institutions, we found these translations were of sufficient quality to be useful. Today, I'm excited to announce that we are adding 24 new languages to Google Translate. This includes the first indigenous language of the Americas, and together these languages are spoken by more than 300 million people. Breakthroughs like this are powering a radical shift in how we access knowledge and use computers. Yet so much of what's knowable about our world goes beyond language. It's in the physical and geospatial information.
Okay, so I'm particularly, focused on bringing people together on language models. And a lot of language models, the language translations from AI accelerated once they started doing transfer learning. And they said, okay, and it all starts with English as the foundation. And then it was doing translation from English to Spanish. That was the example that Sundar Pichai was still giving here. So English to Spanish, and then the model learned the semantics and the syntax of it from English, and then it tries to do transfer learning to more and more. So that there was one time suddenly, I remember my student Aishatu Guadape had told me 2 years back in my Stanford class that Hausa, which is the 7th most spoken language in the world, was not one of the 7 languages that was available at Google Translate at that point in time. And when she took it upon herself to go build the NLP model for this, it was complicated because they did not have enough of the data to train that. And I heard, we heard Sundar Pichai talk about how language institutions and local speakers validated that their AI works. I did not hear the language institutions working with them in defining the model. So one of the things that is happening, and this is commendable that they've added 30 new languages. It's commendable that they are using transfer learning and an improved framework so that they can add more languages. So congratulations on that. And again, when I'm talking about different companies or brands, I'm not endorsing anybody. I love technology. I love technology to be useful to people. And I love for that to actually be reflective of all of us as diverse, different people around the world, not just silos of language, race, and gender, something more. And I give this example of bearded men being left behind in facial recognition algorithms and not recognized properly. So I just want you to think about that. And I do that with my AI ethics class. I teach 4 different AI ethics courses for 4 different master's program at Barcelona Technology School. And so coming back to language models, it used to be NLP models, and then I think it came from Google with BERT. And then from there, we got GPT, and then became GPT-3 from OpenAI. And so now we have GPT-3 being built out from Sweden, from various different languages around the world. And still language is treated as a technology. And language is what carries our culture, carries our learning of the world from our ancestors and our hope for the future. And so there's a lot more collaboration that needs to be done, a lot more research that needs to be done in this space. So I'm working on that. If that is something of interest, you talk to me. And one of the conferences that is coming up next is NeurIPS, and their call for abstract closes on the 16th, and the paper is due on the 19th. And I'm looking to bring together a group of people who are to as one of their social meetups that they do, to focus on bringing more people from the global south into AI research. And instead of keeping it broad, I'm thinking of language models. So if you are one of those orgs who are in the global south or working with the global south on language models, talk to me. I want to see whether it makes sense for us to run a meetup. I run events. I've been doing the weekly Wednesday till I passed on to my student alums. I do this thing with you. I run IoT Day with Roxy Stimson. And I have this compulsive need to share knowledge because it makes me smarter and widens my horizons about the world and the potential of technology, risk of technology, what we can do with the power of technology, each one of us, how we can bring our personal leadership into it. So it's important for me to not just think of this on my own and just go off. I can run a meetup. I can bring 10 people. That's not what I want to do. I want people who are from Global South to participate in global research. And people who are not part of it, who are not even thinking of publishing research already, because they might, I know several people from Kenya and several other African countries who are brilliant in AI, who are running hackathons and winning hackathons, but they are not doing research. I know at least one person comes to mind. I'm not going to name them. Somebody I follow in the African diaspora who's brilliant at IoT, but he does not publish papers. But he goes build stuff and he goes execute stuff. He builds solutions and changes the world from his central pivot. So unless you're focusing on that, it's not going to come into your radar. But if you build it as research, we can build on each other's work, create transparency, put it in open source, and there's so much potential. And I would like you to collaborate with me to see whether we can bring meetup on bringing more researchers, more people into research who have not been in research from the global south. That's kind of my aspiration. So talk to me if you work on language models, if you work in global south, if you work on organizations in that field on language models, or if you're just inspired by this topic, and see if that is something that you would like to collaborate with me. Okay. Other than this, the last thing I always bring is jobs, and there's a bunch of jobs. I would like to see whether I can bring any of the jobs to you. And I did talk to you about, the women in AI today. And let me see, I just got a link. Thank you, Susanna, for sharing this. I got a link of the winners from today. We talked about it and how awesome it was done. And I didn't tell you who the winners were. And each one of them is an amazing woman worth for you to follow up. So Women in AI Canada. As I told you, Women in AI has many, many chapters from around the world. This was Women in AI awards from North America, and it was completely volunteer driven. So it was amazing, 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 amazing work. So here are our, they had the young role model, outstanding in AI, young role model in AI. And Jigyasa Grover was the winner, and Charmi Shakshi was the runner-up. AI in Startup, AI Entrepreneur of the Year is Mahala Mirali, and runner-up is Sarah Lambert. AI for Good, Responsible AI of the Year is Wendy Gonzalez, and runner-up is Merv Hickok. And I've been sharing Merv Hickok's work. Please do follow her on ai@thisis.org. AI for Good, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, AI Leader of the Year is Jutta Trevidranis. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing this name right. Alison Cohen is the runner-up. And AI for Good, this is the ESG AI Leader of the Year, Leslie Canavera, and runner-up is Erin Michelson. AI in Research, AI Researcher of the Year. I have so many students who are in this spectrum. So I hope you will follow the winners and runner-up and check out their work. Anima Anand Kumar and Alona Faishe. AI in Government, and the AI Disruptor is Unive Moreno and Jennifer Glensky. AI in Industry, AI Innovator of the Year is Rama Akiraju and Rekal Utsasan. And these are all the amazing people they are thanking to make this happen. Thank you so much to the Women in AI Steering Committee and all the volunteers who have made this, an amazing, amazing success. Thank you, everybody. And the last but not the least, I want to share some jobs. I will be sharing a lot more jobs. I can't do justice. I don't want to be just, reading out jobs, but there was one job that jumped at me, and let me share that with you. I'll be sharing the links of jobs in the bit.ly Jamte newsletter. And somebody's asking about Weekly Wednesday, where you go sign up. Let me find that. Yash has a bit.ly for that also, I believe. So let me share that first. So it bit.ly/weeklywed, that's Weekly Wednesday, Weekly Wed event. Here is the URL. It should lead you to the site where you can sign up and you can come back. You can, we'll be streaming here. If you don't sign up, that's okay. But if you want to get access to the recording and come back and watch them, then it is all sitting there in that link. Again, free and GDPR compliant registration. You can get out of it at any time if that's not of interest to you. And the last thing I'm going to show you is this interesting job that popped up. Where is it? Let me see. It's a data science job from Amazon. I found that fascinating for a reason. I'll tell you in a minute, because I like people who are passionate about things. I just find that very amazing. And the Google I/O link that I shared, you can actually find what I shared was just day one. You can go back, find day two. All of the live stream of the whole thing is all up there. So this is the job I found. I hope I'm sharing the right one. So it's called Principal Data Science and Analytics, Alexa AI : Information. It's a very strange sounding job title. And this was posted 3 days ago. According to my LinkedIn profile, it is saying 9 applicants have submitted, and it's a full-time director level job. And so when you say principal data science and analytics, it's all about data. And you would say, oh, this person should know data science, and this looks like a data science research job. It's not. So this is a job any of my students who are watching can do this. And the job is from Santa Barbara. And they are basically saying, being a leader in this data science innovation and strategy across a variety of data products and help us measure our customer experience. So it reads to me, it is called something else, but it reads to me more like a product manager role. It looks like an individual contributor who is, coordinating across multiple different roles. So they have variety of different jobs possible, like variety of different backgrounds possible. So obviously it's a data science role. They want you to understand data science, but you're not building data science. It's an analytics mentioned here, but you're not an analyst doing this. So, but you will be driving the metrics and analytics strategy. You'll be driving the, so it looks like a, if you're like a head of research kind of person, this looks like a good role for you, but it is also more like a PM, create buy-in for data product vision internally and with key business partners. So it was very interesting. And then provide technical product strategic guidance. So it definitely is in the realm of what my students can participate. So, but what was fascinating for me is I'm very big on not sharing, or singing the praise of one company, but I do get excited about, passionate people and stuff. So I'm going to show you this video. Again, this is not an endorsement of Amazon. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. But I just found that the passion of this team and people who are promoting this. This is the team from Santa Barbara. And they also said that you could be remote as long as you can come and participate and travel and do team offsites with them. This is the Amazon Alexa.
Welcome to Santa Barbara.
Hi, I'm Kevin Davis, and I get to work with great people every day.
Our job is to make Alexa smarter. My name is Heike, and I lead the tech team here.
Hello, I'm Ignacio. Many of my friends and family interact with the products I help build, often daily.
Oh, hey there. That's Ryan. And that's Matt.
PMs.
And we help Alexa understand more of our customers' questions.
Hi, I'm Nina. We get to launch experiences that we think fans will love.
What's a nose's favorite sport? Well, it's not running.
Tuesday before work, about 10 minutes from home, get some waves.
Really marketing
Why
for
do I
Santa
like working
Barbara.
for Alexa? Well, we're literally on the cutting edge of technology, thinking about how humans will be using computers in the future.
The scale and complexity make working on Alexa a challenge, but a rewarding one.
We feel like we're working hard and making history.
So it's super exciting, a lot of hard problems.
Working on cutting-edge technology in a place like Santa Barbara is pretty much like living the dream.
This is our rooftop deck.
What do I love about living in Santa Barbara? Let's see.
The city lies between the steeply rising Santa Ynez Mountains and the Pacific Ocean.
The opportunity to enjoy the great outdoors, and there's not a cloud in the sky.
Daytime highs will range between 65 and 72 degrees
I told you it's
Fahrenheit.
big marketing for Santa Barbara. But such a real team.
There he is again, looking for insights.
This is my favorite activity, checking out sunsets in Santa Barbara.
There's a sheep parking on the side. Sam.
This is epic.
Hopefully you'll be joining us in Santa Barbara soon.
And drone filming by Ajmer Khan. Awesome. Awesome. So I thought that was fascinating because I just saw the video that was embedded in the job description. And this doesn't look like a typical promotion from HR or the company brand. This is passionate team of people and very real. I just love that. So hope you'll connect with any of them, follow them, see their work, see if this is the job for you or somebody else, go do something. I work on AIX, which is designing artificial intelligence and the UX design that is done using AI. And I have my framework on, how to humanize, genderize, and they set the right tone for voice assistants and other AI. And I keep bringing Alexa to my class and she says things and, I like something, I don't like something, I tweet it, I'm very public about it. So I'm very fascinated to see a group of passionate people working there, and maybe one of my students will go, coordinate. And it seems like, it has the big company feel of coordinating across multiple different groups from the company and their external customers, but it seems like a close-knit team. So hope somebody applies there or talks to that and, do something amazing, and we'll see it on Alexa here. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. And definitely, oh, I forgot. We were doing this IoT day 24 in 24, and we showed 24 hours of 24 women from around the globe. And we had Usha Jagannathan come in, talk to us in one of the panel when we did live on IoT Day, April 9th. Usha Jagannathan works at McKinsey, and she's going to come talk to us. And Usha is a student of mine from, I believe, from the autonomous vehicle class from the past. And she's one of those rare people who's a hardcore technologist, hands-on, knows the nitty-gritties of deep learning and AI, who's a researcher, who's been an academic in University of Arizona, teaching PhDs and students, and there's a researcher in her past, and she brings that to enterprise, and she knows the business side and the technology side and how to make that the AI translation. There are jobs called AI translators. She knows to make that very intuitively. And she's an amazing person and a fantastic speaker. So she's going to be our weekly Wednesday speaker. So remember, I said bit.ly/weeklywed events. If you're not already signed up, I would highly recommend you come, or you just, join our stream at Business School of AI here on LinkedIn. And Usha is going to be talking to us about how to bring research to the enterprise. And research happens in academia, enterprise is building solutions, has all the data. And then we are talking about model-centric approach and data-centric approach. How do you bring that? And she's bridging the gap. And she's a fantastic speaker. And Yash will be the moderator as always for Weekly Wed. So I hope I'll see you there. Otherwise, follow up with me on what I was talking to you about, potential meetup that I want to submit and bring to NeurIPS about language models and bringing more researchers from Global South into the research world. So talk to me if that's of interest to you, or you have any connection whatsoever. I would love to hear from you. And follow up with all the links and events, and maybe I'll see you online in one of those places. Otherwise, I will see you back here at Sudha Live, and stay safe, people, and have a fantastic weekend. Thank you, everybody. Bye now. I'm going to stop the recording here first. Then I'm going to stop the live stream. So I will come back and post the links back if you have questions for me at Twitter, where this was streaming, or on LinkedIn, where this was streaming. And I will not come and post it back on YouTube if you're watching it there. That's not my usual place. But other than that, bit.ly/Jamte newsletter will have all the links. So subscribe or come check it out if you want to bookmark it.